I'm just going to start recording. Yeah, you and I definitely treat math differently. Jesus, I would be studying if I had a math test at 10:30.
Oh no, it's financial math. It's simple interest, compound interest. It's very easy.
Well, that
Yeah.
plays perfectly into part of our conversation, I'm sure. Um,
Yeah.
so, so I wanted to give you some context, right? I I wish that there was shit that people said to me when I was your age, which is what, you're 15 now?
16.
16, yeah, she's even worse. I wish that there was
Yeah.
honest advice, honest conversations, honest feedback that people had given me to very basic things
Yeah.
when I was 16. And so I then started thinking, I wonder if those are the same things that a 16-year-old today is thinking about, that I was thinking about, and how
Yeah.
that relates to me being 36. So there is a 20-year gap between you and me, which it feels quite epic. Like I feel like I don't even
It
speak the
does.
same language as you. Um,
That's fair enough. I mean, geez, sometimes when I'm at school, I don't feel like I speak the language everyone else does. Some of the slang, I'm like, oh my word, how do you speak like that? Like I couldn't manage speaking like that every single day. It's ridiculous.
okay, well that's good. That makes me feel less old. So what I thought just for today, for like the first episode, we'll do two questions each. You can ask me. You
Okay.
sent me a whole list, but ask me two that your favorite two, and then I'm going to ask you two so that you can help me catch up to the young people and not feel like I'm 36 years old.
Okay, great. So
So you start.
when picking subjects, did you have an idea of what you wanted to do, or were you just like, I enjoy these subjects, I'm gonna try and base my career off these subjects later in my life, or did you already have a clear idea of what you wanted to do?
Yeah. So this one is such an interesting one
Yeah,
because it is exactly how I felt. Um,
yeah,
so so yeah, when I was 16, I had a very clear idea of what I thought I wanted to do. Um, so I came out and told my parents that I wanted to be a journalist and I was going to study English, and it's the only subject that mattered to me. And like I picked English and computer science as my two main subjects. Um,
yeah.
Mainly computer science because I taught myself to code when I was like 11. Um, and I don't know why that was. My parents, I was lucky and they bought me a computer. This was back in 1994. I had the internet and a computer, which I've actually done research. I was one of about 30 odd thousand people in South Africa to have the internet at that time. So computer science and
Wow,
English
that's
and
easy.
and like journalism, that was my thing, right? And then I told my parents this, and I told
Yeah,
at a Sunday lunch with my parents, my brother, my cousins on my dad's side, so Harry and Christopher and Spiro, and Harry and his wife, and they all on the Sunday lunch like started fighting with me. They were like, "You can't be a journalist. They make no fucking money. Like you're going to be broke. That's the stupidest thing ever. Like you should never do this. You have to take science and math." And that's what
yeah,
they forced me to do. So I also took science
yeah.
and math because when I was at 16, 20 years ago, those were the subjects that would get you a job. And ironically, those were the two subjects that nearly ended up with me failing matric. Um, So I got 33 and a third percent for science in matric. And I spent my
Wow.
entire high school career doing extra maths with a Greek teacher in Greek because my parents thought a Greek math teacher was better than another math teacher. So I was learning math in Greek and Greek at the same
Oh, wow.
time. It was a fucking mess. So fast forward, right, to getting to university,
Yeah,
and now I'm in first year, and um, I'm gonna be as honest as I can here. So I was head prefect of my school. I didn't smoke. I didn't drink. I was very studious insofar as I wanted to pass. I played first team rugby and karting and blah, blah, blah. I was a rounded school kid. Get to university and none of that shit mattered. Like none of it. What grades you got, what team you were in, what sport you played, what subjects you chose, none of it mattered. Because you get there and you realize that the world is this big, thinking, evolving, developing, rapidly changing place. And that was the most important lesson that I think I learned, was that what I didn't do at school was learn how to learn. I hated reading at school. I hated studying at school. I did it because I knew I needed to pass to get to university. And I think that more important than the subjects you choose is the culture of learning that school gives you. Like, okay, it's now time to learn. And I think you've got a pretty good understanding of that, right? Like, you know how to study and you know how to take knowledge into your brain and then adapt it to something. That was way more important than the subjects I picked. Subjects were completely irrelevant. I mean, if you look at my career now, I'm an entrepreneur. I do monthly financial reports. I sit on boards, and I've got a journalism degree. I've done no business, no accounting, no management qualifications, because you grow and experience stuff. So yeah, like I did panic about the subjects, and even at my school, we didn't even have a diverse set of subjects. We had no music, we had no drama, we had no culture. It was like subjects that were straight and narrow: biology, geography, history, those sorts of things. So the truth is, and parents will never want me to say this, but your subjects don't matter because university doesn't matter, because the job world is evolving so quickly that the ability to adapt and learn is way more important than the specific subjects that you picked.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Does that help?
I've picked a lot, like, and I don't know what I want to do, if I'm being honest. Like, the subjects I've picked geography, computer application sciences, normal maths, like core maths, physics, and yeah, that's about it.
And how are you doing
like,
in those subjects?
I don't know a clue. I mean, maths, I did really badly last year. Like, I just scraped through, but then we started this great thing called master maths. So now my maths is up to around 70%. My maths is a lot better. Then physics, I mean, I'm also master masters, like master physics. So my physics is also coming up slowly. It's at like 60-ish now.
Okay.
And then geography, I mean, I'm quite comfortable with. It's like high 60s, low 70s, around there. English.
So I mean, you're performing, right?
English. Cats, yeah.
And I'm curious about this because my experience of school was very all in. I didn't have like a balanced fun and school. So I'm curious, like, do you feel like you are getting a rounded school experience, or are you just so focused on like getting good grades that that's all you do?
Not at all. Not at
That's
all.
great.
If I wanted to get good marks, I would. But I don't know. I find life too hard to not look forward to something. Like seeing friends on the weekend, if I didn't have the opportunity to do that, I wouldn't work. Plain and simple.
Okay.
Like, I'd say no. Screw you. Why am I wasting my time sitting here if I don't have anything to look forward to, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I like that approach because the one thing that I think is impossible for any adult to I even hate the word adult, but for any person older than 18 to impress upon a younger person is the one thing that you do have more than anybody else is time. And Jen, who you know, my partner of 15 years, she says something that's great that I love. And she actually said it to my mom for the first time when she gave this advice. She said to my mom, Stacey, you will never be younger than you are today. So don't hold back from anything. And that applies at 16. You will never be younger than you are today, have less risk than you have today, have no responsibility. Like, so actually, who cares if you get straight B's instead of straight A's? It's not going to define your future. And practically, maybe your sisters won't tell you the same, but from my life, no one has ever asked me for my matric certificates, how well I did in math, what I got for English, whether I was head prefect or not, what football team I played in. When you leave school, that just goes away because life doesn't care about school. School is there to prep you for the next thing. No one gives a crap about what happens at school. No one. Like certifiably, anyone who worries about school, their best days were in school. And so the question that you asked about the subjects, are you asking that because you're concerned about what subjects you've chosen in relation to what options you'll have when you leave school?
Well, I know the subjects I've chosen do give me like quite a broad spectrum of like what I can do, but I'm not sure if that is what I want to do. I'm not sure if those subjects are something I want to pursue, you know. Like I don't know what I want to do at all. Like I really
I
don't know.
think it's super important that that you know that that's okay. There's so many people I know who are closer to my age, 40, 30, 45, who still don't know what they want to do, but they still do stuff. And
Yeah.
there is actually this interesting Japanese phrase. You know the word vocation, right? Your calling, your reason for being.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like the thing that some people believe everyone has got one thing. The Japanese have got this really great thing called ikigai. And it's this theory that there are a Venn diagram of four circles that overlap. And the four key things that you have to kind of keep in your mind are what you're good at, what you love to do, what the world needs, and what you can get paid for. And that's it, man.
Yeah.
You don't have to know what you want to do, this one shining beacon for the rest of your life today. Because, like, in fairness, if you look at my career, started off as a journalist, started my first business at 16. The one was in tech, the one was in retail. Now I'm just left a crypto company. Matter what you want to do. The world will throw different things at you, and the world is moving so rapidly that different things will be interesting to you now at 16 and you at 26 or you at 36. So as long as you're
Yeah.
adaptable and not stuck in the way of, oh, I studied science, so I must be a scientist, then you're going to be fine.
Mm.
Yeah, I wouldn't, I mean, it's easy to say, obviously, with
Oh,
hindsight,
yeah.
but
I mean,
I don't think that a smart person has any reason to worry unless they are too stuck in their ways. And that's the key thing: is don't be stuck in your ways.
okay.
Okay. What was your second question?
Okay. When you were like my age, did you struggle saving money? Did you have like self-control to save money to put aside to either buy something nice that you were aiming to get or just to save it for like one day, you know? I just find that impossible because I'm like with friends in a mall at 500 rand, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put 200 in Bible. That's more than enough. 300 rand is more than enough. And I'm like, oh, what's another 100 rand? Oh, you know what? Next time, I'll save my money, and it just never happens.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was a terrible saver. And it is genuinely, legitimately my biggest regret from being a young kid who was smart enough to understand compound interest and ignoring it. I
yeah,
genuinely, and I can't be serious enough about that. I genuinely wish that I had started saving even just 400 Rand a month or 100 Rand a month, anything at the age of 15 or 16. It is my biggest regret because compound interest is the most magical economic factor in the history of capitalism in the world. Um, Most people know who Warren Buffett is. He got to be as rich as he is in the later years of his life because of compound interest. So he saved his first million, second million, third million, and then compound interest started kicking in, and it just exponentially made him wealthier. So I was shit at saving, and I wish that I was better at it. So I was really lucky that I didn't have to save. My parents were the
yeah,
typical Greek parents who were like, don't worry, we'll just give you more. We want you to have what we didn't have. And that unfortunately didn't teach me scarcity. So when I ran out of money and I begged them, they would give me more money. So I didn't have to save. I didn't have to have scarcity. And that was actually a big fuck up for my future understanding of money. That
yeah,
I just thought that there would always be money. And when I got older, I realized that
yeah,
obviously that is not the case.
Yeah.
So there is this move that's become quite popular called FIRE, and it stands for Financial Independence and Retire Early, FIRE. And the basic premise is there are two ways to retire. The one is to earn enough money that you never have to earn more money. The other way is to spend so little that whatever you do earn is more than you need. And FIRE focuses on both. But what I do like about the FIRE movement is they phrased it that helped me. About 8 years ago, I read this. And they said, you can choose to buy anything you want, or if you want to buy a new pair of sneakers, you can think that if you don't buy that pair of sneakers and you save the money instead, you can retire one day earlier. And that really helped me understand what I'm spending versus what I'm saving. That do I really need another pair of sneakers, or do I want to sit on my ass one day earlier and retire? And honestly, that just cut me at the age of what, I think 28 or 29. I was like, okay, I'm just going to save. And now I very rarely shop. We live in a very small 1-bedroom apartment with a shitty car because I don't care about cars. So all the way back to saving when I was a kid. The main thing that I think people don't explain correctly to people at your age is it's okay if you don't save a ton, and it's okay to have different priorities. So if your priority is to go out and have fun with your friend, just let that be in your head that that's what you want to do, and it's a good use of your money. What really sucks is when you go out, you spend the money, you feel guilty for spending the money, so you didn't have a good time out. You get home, you have no money, so you're guilty you have no money, and now you've not had a good time, you've spent all your money, and you don't have any savings. So none of it was good. And like, that stinks. That's not the way it should be. That also brings me to a trick that most people who are bad at saving try to do to make them better at saving is when you get your money, the first thing you should do is allocate your saving away from that so that you don't have access to it. And if you don't have a savings account of some kind, you should get one so that as soon as you get money, you can allocate it into that account so you never have to debate yourself. Like, oh, I don't have $100. Well, I don't have it. I literally don't have it. It's in my savings account. I can't give it to you. Done.
At 16, are you allowed to open your own bank account?
I have no idea, but I will find out for you and let you know.
Because I mean, I have 100 rand that I'm not using, and I don't get tempted later down the road in a week's time to spend it or something, you know?
Yeah, 100%. And it's definitely the easiest way is to actually just put it away. The biggest misunderstanding about savings is, it's only 100 rand. What difference does it make? Well, with compound interest, 100 rand over 20 years is going to be worth a shitload of money. And bear in mind, it feels like 20 years is far away. That's me. You're staring at 20 years away. I am literally 20 years older than you. Yeah, it's not that far away.
So scary.
Yeah, it's not that far away. So 100 rand, if you add that every month and it compounds, genuinely is going to save you a lot of money. And I think you're more interested in having a couple of million rand when you're 26 than a couple of 100 rand when you're 16.
100%.
Do you want to talk more about that, or can I ask you a couple of questions?
You can ask me, I guess, if you'd like to.
Okay. So my first one is, how do people your age, your friends, see university now? Is it something that you want? Is everyone going to university, or is it like, yeah, fuck it, let's go, let's not, I don't care?
Definitely, fuck it, let's go, let's not. Like, I'm like, I'd like to go to university. So many of my friends are like, you know, they're very, like, my teacher is very creative, and he likes doing like screenplays and like writing scripts for like movies and stuff like that, rather than, and like, I mean, he isn't really interested in going to university. He'd rather like go for mentorship with some famous director and learn how to write movies correctly, or something towards that, you know, rather than going to university. And he doesn't even like, he goes to like a homeschooling college, and he doesn't even care about like academics that much either. He really just cares about English. He takes AP English, and that's his goal. He just wants to be bloody amazing at English so he can write properly. And I mean, he's doing it so far. He's trying
Oh,
to like
and what about you
make
though?
short films and stuff like that.
Like, why do you want to go to university?
I don't know. Like, I honestly couldn't tell you. It's the norm, you know. Like,
Interesting.
yeah,
So,
I really don't know.
so
I don't know what to do.
do you even know what the alternatives are? Like, have you thought about if you don't go to university in 2 years, what you'll do?
Not a clue.
Okay,
Haven't
interesting.
even thought about that. No.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And so at 16, surely you should now start be thinking, oh, well, I'm going to go to Rhodes or UCT. And like, are you doing that?
I wouldn't. I don't really have like insights on like universities and jobs I can do besides going to university and like how universities work, like degrees you can get and stuff like that. You know, like no one has ever sat down and discussed that topic with me before. So like I know pretty much nothing.
Wow. And your school is not preparing you for that? They're not talking to you about what happens when you matriculate?
But
Maybe that's going to come. I don't know, but that sounds shocking to me. So the interesting and amazing thing to me is I don't think I got any value out of my university degree in terms of like learning a
yeah,
specific career goal. The value I got out of university was it taught me how to network, it taught me how to think, and it taught me how to learn about things that interest me. But outside of that, like, I mean, if you're going to be an accountant, you need to go to university and get an accounting degree. But the world is just evolving so rapidly now that even universities as an institution are under threat. You can go onto Harvard,
yeah,
MIT, Oxford, Stanford, any of their websites and take free courses from them that might be 2 or 3 years old, but they're free. And you can just go right now onto any of their websites and find a free course and start learning today.
yeah,
You could go onto a bunch of websites like Udemy or Codecademy or Treehouse, and they all have for like 60 Rand a month, all you can eat access to any lesson you want to learn. How to be a social media
wow,
manager, how to be a content writer, how to be a developer, you name it. So the important thing that I think teenagers should know today is there are no more excuses for, oh, I don't know. Like that doesn't
yeah,
exist. You can go into Google or YouTube and find a lesson for anything that you want. For example, I know
yeah,
that you know how to solve a Rubik's Cube. I learned how to solve a Rubik's Cube by watching a YouTube video. That was it.
mm,
So
yeah,
anything you want to learn, you don't need permission. And I think that's what university and schools force you to do, right? Is, oh, Alex needs permission from the teacher to take the subject, or you need permission from a lecturer to be
yeah,
smart at this thing. And that's gone. You don't need permission anymore.
yeah,
Like the best writers are the best writers because they write. The best directors direct. The best athletes choose to run. They don't wait for anyone. So if you want to start learning stuff, man, just fucking dive into the internet and see what the world has for you.
yeah. Yeah, and that's why like
Okay.
I'd really like to know like have a rough idea of what I'd want to do because like it's hard. Um, like I don't know where to start to think about like what I want to do. Um,
So I get asked this question a lot from business people that I mentor who are looking for an idea of a business that they want to solve or a solution to a problem that they have. And I call this my empty room theory. It's impossible to discover new things sitting in an empty room with no doors, no windows, and nothing to do. And that's what it's like being a 16-year-old. So you don't have experience, you don't have the world around you. So when you're going to figure out what there is to do is when you go out into the world. What you do every day is go to school, or right now stay at home or go to school, see your friends, play sports, stay at home, go to school, see your friends, play sports. That doesn't inspire you to experience new and different things. So what I did when I was a
yeah,
teenager was learn as much new stuff as I could. So I learned to code when I was 10 or 11. I learned to play the guitar when I was 13. And then rugby took over my life, and I stopped learning and reading and being interested in stuff. And only when I got to university did I realize, holy shit, I can read anything I want to read and see if it interests me. Even you've got Netflix, I assume, right?
Yeah.
So do you watch documentaries? Watch documentaries of things that are different. And that kind of leads you down different paths. And follow your inspiration, like follow your curiosity. If you, I think at one point you wanted to be a pilot. Cool, we'll dive deep into that and read about pilots and airplanes and all sorts of interesting shit and see what offshoots there are to that. I mean, Elon Musk is launching people into the moon. Like, that's amazing. So I would say the more you throw into your brain, the more you'll figure out what you like and don't like. And school doesn't do that. School doesn't expose you to lots of things.
Yeah.
That is it from me, man. For our first episode, I think that was a pretty diverse and wildly interesting conversation. Hopefully you felt the same and you're keen to do another one.
100%. Yeah, that was great.
Right. So cool. That was the first episode of Teenagers Talk to Old People. And and look, good luck for the math test, and think of more brutally honest questions you would like answered from me.
Definitely. I'll send them through as soon as I think of